Shut up and sit down.
Me help you.
Hi, Sharon, thought I'd give you a ring. It crossed my mind, so now I'm wondering if you're not settled in. You might like to meddle in some adrenaline, pumping, pedaling.
Oh, dolls, I thought you'd never ask. I'd love to get my hand behind some handlebars.
You are listening to another episode of the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. The guys blabber on about themselves, talk to someone else about some stuff, and finish by blabbering just a little more. There you go, the show in a nutshell. Tip of the day, talk does not cook rice, so quit yapping and get to it already.
You can watch me whoosh by on my push back, my tush high and my thighs bumping away. Seems like a sweet deal, less than 3 wheels, yet I still steal the show from your Camry. On my bicycle, life was icicle, but now I'm cruising with the grace of a manta ray. On the whole game from my own lane, hail or rain, off the chain, yeah, you know that I'm a cycler.
Going round, 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 round. Going round, 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 round.
I immediately regret this decision.
Hi, and welcome to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Turing, and today I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance in studio.
Awesome having you in studio.
Here I am, 2 weeks in a row in studio. Love it.
We're very lucky.
Evan Price.
What's everybody drinking today? I'm also going with the one ear thing today, so if everybody can talk super loud, that'd be great.
Still dealing with that ear infection?
Yeah, no, it's great. It'll be gone in 2 weeks.
The next two,
What does Kristen tell me?
2 to 3 years, it'll be clear.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And to his right, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
I'm doing good.
You guys sound good.
Yeah.
You sound good. Yeah.
And we have a special guest on Skype with us today. We have Dennis Cottreau from Bereda. He is going to come on here and join us for our episode today. How you doing, Dennis?
Hey, not too bad. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. We'll get into a little bit more with Dennis in just a moment. He's got some really cool stuff to share with us, but I want to kick off our back pedal. I am very curious to hear how things went for everybody this past week. Evan, let's start with you. I want to know how your week went after your big race.
It's going to be so not training related, which is awesome. I trained maybe 8 or 9 hours this last week.
Wow.
This
It was
is
great.
This is the coolest part. Is like,
Oh, it was great.
Evan's usually like, I had such boring training. I just trained for 25 hours.
Right,
per week.
yeah.
And now it's like, what?
I
8
know.
hours?
I did like
It's crazy.
8-9 hours of training, basically nothing. But Saturday, Cassie and I went to Seattle.
Uh-huh.
In my time, I've lived here for 2 years now. I really have not actually explored Seattle at all.
It's a cool city.
Yeah.
It is an awesome city.
Yeah.
I have no idea why I haven't spent more time there.
Because the traffic sucks and it rains all the
That's
time.
true. Yeah.
But it is a cool city.
It is. So we got there Friday night, super late. Wake up Saturday. We go on a run through like the Japanese garden areas,
Yep.
which is really cool. You know, get done with that, and we have this like loosely planned out day. Me and Cassie work great as like type A, but really type B by nature. There's a plan, but the plan doesn't actually need to happen. It's just a plan for the sake of having a plan.
How is you guys can run together decently? Like,
Oh yeah. We ran together for a little bit, and then she just tells me to go away.
like,
so yeah,
she's like 8-minute pace. She's pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I've
She'll
run
run
with her before.
She'll run 8:30.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
comfortably. Yeah.
Good.
And then we went. I got to see Bruce Lee's grave, which was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That was cool. Bruce and Brandon Lee's grave. We did basically a pastry tour. So we linked the entire trip together, seeing awesome things while making sure that we were getting good coffee and pastries the entire time.
Evan, do you want me to get you a second seat because your butt cheeks have gotten so big that
I know.
they're rolling off
It was
the edge?
great. Oh my gosh, so many good pastries, so much good food. But I got to go to Pike's Place.
Did you get some good content for post-race
We
pastry?
did. Oh,
Okay,
there's
good.
it's going to continue to come out. So I would go into detail, but you should probably just go and follow our page. This is my shameless plug right now. Post-race pastries on Instagram. It's the only thing I have on Instagram. So please go follow it.
and just so people get that correct, it's post-race pastry, not pastries.
Pastry, yes, my bad.
Yeah.
Singular.
You guys are up to
Post-race
41 followers now. You're
pastry.
big time. That's not bad for a week.
41.
Not
41.
43, guys.
Oh,
'cause I just
43.
I
Thank you very much. There's a chance that we could crack into 3 digits here in the next week.
Sweet.
But yeah, no, it was a blast. Pike's Place was really cool. Like, I know some people are like, oh, it's very touristy. I thought that place is awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a very cool spot.
Yeah.
I didn't go up the Space Needle, but we walked all the way around it.
That's fun to go up there and have lunch and go up to the observatory or
Yeah.
deck
Yeah.
or whatever it is. It's neat. So
We're definitely planning another, like, I need to go and see Seattle a couple times here.
do they still do the dining room there where it rotates 1 hour?
Yeah, there's a
It's full
restaurant there.
rotation.
I think they do, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it's still rotated, but that's pretty
It
much
does, yeah.
I did
Still
that once,
rotates.
like 15 years
And
ago.
they said, like, I know a lot of the floors now are glass. Like,
Wow.
like a lot of
Yeah,
the...
there's glass observation
Yeah.
floor sections. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Sweet.
But yeah, there was my week. It was a fun week.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
and
like a 3-minute backpedal. Last week you were like 90 minutes.
I know. I had to do an entire race cap and race recap and everything last
Good.
time. But
Good.
yeah,
Matt Legrand, backpedal for us.
I actually trained about the same amount of hours as Evan, which is not great.
Ding. Sorry about that. I have all that stuff turned off and I still can't make it shut up. So.
I thought that was Matt saying that. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
When we hit the same amount of hours, there's going to be a ding.
There's going to be a ding.
And usually when you're doing 25, I have to somehow hit 25 or else there's no ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I raced yesterday, which was not great. Like my calves were bugging me. I did this run. It was, we have like so much soccer, right? Like I got 3 boys. And so we're doing soccer every night and,
Good Lord. Did you match them again?
do you guys do your soccer guy?
Jake soccer. Jake
That was
and you
Jake
were
and
soccer.
soccer.
Yeah.
That was
So-
a retroactive one. Yeah.
So I was running around the soccer fields and I only ran 3 miles and my calves were bugging me. And I was like, great. I don't know should I not even do this race that's on Sunday? And then I channeled my inner Lance. Like, what would Lance do? He would almost die on the side of the road.
Correct.
Throw up and then crawl through it. And then he
And
would
get back on.
and then he would be like, yeah, I'm racing tomorrow.
Of course I'm racing tomorrow. The puke was like 20 minutes ago. I'm beyond that. Let's
Oh, yeah.
go.
It's race time. So I went ahead and raced this race. It's close. It's in Portland, Oregon here, really close to where we do our podcast. And so, I did this. It was a 5K. It was like 15 mile and then 5K.
It's a duathlon.
Duathlon.
Run and bike.
Race.
Yep.
And so I ran the first 5K and, I started up feeling fine. I was like, oh, maybe I'll be okay. I was running like 6:15s. It didn't feel hard at all. And I was like, that's still fast. I'm going to just chill out. And I slowed down. I was probably running like 7:30. And my calf just kept getting worse and worse within the first 5K. And I literally was like, all right, just hobble to the bike and like maybe just call it quits. Like I don't stress too much about like race entry fees and things like that. I get into a lot of races for free. And so it's like, it's a little bit easier to be like, I'm just going to drop out of this one, and not worry about it. And so I got on the bike and I was like, let's just go like bike or whatever. Real slow transition, hopped on the bike, started biking. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm like passing.
Nice.
I'm like passing all these people because you start a little further back, and I don't like if you guys know me. I don't put a lot of power into the bike. I'm pretty weak, but
Whatever.
I mean,
He's pretty slippery.
But here's the thing:
He's pretty slippery.
You put on the right gear and you get slippery in the wind, and man, it was not that hard to push some power and like put like. I was like, I don't know how much power I was putting in. I actually didn't know. But
So we'll say 400 watts.
400
Yeah,
watts.
There you go.
And, I mean, I was just like looking at my miles per hour. I was like, that's 25. That's 26. I was like, this is pretty good, And I was passing herds of people, like just like packs of people. I'd have to go like super wide because you'd have like, people passing people. And I was like just flying past groups. So it was really enjoyable for 15 miles. And then I was like, okay, well, what do I do for the last 5K? Do I go jog it? And that's kind of what I told myself. I was like, just go do it as a cool down, And so I got out and I started running. I started chatting with a guy and it was kind of nice. We just chatted for basically a mile and a half or so. And then I picked up the pace at the end. It was not a great performance, as you can imagine. The 2 5Ks were slow enough that I was not in the top 10. I think I was 20th overall.
Yes.
And so not good. But that's okay.
Because then later that evening, we got to have a nice
Yeah.
little meeting and talk about Matt's training plan going into
Yeah.
long time from now, Whistler.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Evan came over and we had dinner with pizza, which was really nice. And we were like, all right, let's lay out the plan for the next 3 months, basically, of
Yeah.
like how we got to figure out the build up for my number one race, which is Whistler, which is kind of the focal point of the whole season for me. Got to get the legs figured out, but I'm hoping that'll come around. I have done some long runs, so I don't know. I'm kind of hoping for the best.
That's still great that you were able to get out there and do it, and your calf didn't completely fail you.
I don't know. I didn't hobble too bad on the way over to the podcast table this morning, but yeah, it's not perfect.
Ran better than me.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Dennis, you want to backpedal for us? Just give us a quick recap of your past week and maybe any races or training that you had that you accomplished.
Yeah, sure. So first off, guys, congrats on the 1-year anniversary last week. That was
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
no worries. Yeah, and I've been listening to a few of your podcasts. So I was, thinking, okay, I gotta get a good back pedal in this week. And
Like better train.
He's a
exactly.
pro already. There you
Making my first podcast appearance. The real target events.
Yeah, exactly.
And so wouldn't you believe on Monday, Nova Scotia, I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada. On Monday, we had a early April snowstorm.
Oh, great.
So I had already packed up the indoor training setup. Not that it was of a lot of use this winter, but packed it up. And yeah, I was all ready to do a big week. And would you believe had snow all over the roads. So didn't get too much in this week, but I did get out for a really nice ride at my brother-in-law on Sunday. We did 70K and got a few hill repeats at the halfway mark.
Good.
So,
Is it pretty hilly?
It's been going pretty good.
Is it pretty hilly where you are?
It's very rolly,
Okay.
and I don't think none of the hills are, if you brought out-of-towners in, they wouldn't really look at them as hills per se, but it's never flat. It's always a little bit up, always a little bit down.
Nice.
So what is a snowstorm in Nova Scotia? Like you say snowstorm. We have a lot of listeners in Pacific Northwest here. What does that entail in Nova Scotia?
If we have like a dusting of snow, it doesn't
That's a
have,
snowstorm.
It doesn't have to stick. It doesn't have to stick. I mean, there's going to
The
be like
threat of snow is a
a
snowstorm.
run on grocery stores.
3 inches of snow here, Snowmageddon. So
Yeah.
Well, I think it was 4 inches this time, so it wasn't the worst we get, but it definitely wasn't pleasant in April.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
beat it.
The one nice thing about being in Nova Scotia, though, is that the weather changes very quickly. So, yeah, it didn't stick around too long. So not too bad.
Good. Right on. Are you training right now for anything in particular?
Nothing in particular. It's kind of funny, starting a cycling software company. You'd think you'd end up doing a lot of riding, but it starts to take a back seat pretty quickly. So.
Yeah.
Funny how that works out. So
yeah. So I'm just hoping to stay faster than my brother-in-law at this point. That's the main goal.
That's a worthy goal.
That is.
Yeah.
Beat family.
Yes,
It is.
that's true competitiveness right there. That's primal competitiveness.
all right, let's move on to Lance. Lance, you had a race this past weekend.
I did race.
Backpedal for us.
I only raced once this weekend.
A race.
A race.
A single
single race. I did the Kings Valley Road Race, and this is kind of a classic race that's in the Pacific Northwest. It's one of our spring road races, and it's usually fairly well attended. But we have had so much rain in the last couple weeks, and there's been some flooding issues in the area that not a whole lot of people showed up for the race. But there was still enough that there were good full fields.
Yeah. That's my favorite race. On the whole calendar, that's my favorite race, and it was so sad for me to miss it this past week. But there's some good stories that came out of that, so I'm curious what you got for us.
The course is an 18-mile loop with about 1,000 feet of climbing per loop, and our race did 3 laps of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
54 miles
54
and change.
miles or
Yep.
something like that, and about almost 3,000 feet of climbing for the race. So there's a couple of punchy climbs, and then there's one kind of long climb, and the finish line is, of course, at the very top of the biggest climb.
Of course, yes.
Which is not really my bag.
It's not that pitchy, though.
But
I mean,
no,
it's
it's
like,
not
what,
too
like
bad.
6% grade at the worst, maybe 7?
Yeah.
And for the whole climb, it averages out to 4 or 5%.
Correct. Yeah. So
Dude,
not.
that's you.
I was really nervous going into it because I traditionally have not been able to hang on climbs with people. And
That's Lance 1.0.
that's right.
Come on, man.
That was 40 pounds ago.
Yeah.
But I was able to hang with the group relatively easily on the climbs, which was good. So it was kind of funny. We had our race. We were the Masters 3, 4, 5 group, and there was all the 40 plus, all the 50 plus, and all the 60 plus, and there was about 30 of us in the group that were racing, and our team had, I believe, 9 people in it.
A third of the peloton.
Third of the peloton.
Was the- oh, boy.
So we really, with that many people, we should have been able to control the race, and we did.
I should hope that you guys did.
So
yeah.
it was good. It was kind of funny. Chris Hannell, the Rocket All-Star on our team, he says, "Hey, I'm going to go kind of early, and I'll see if I can get out and make a break stick, and then let people try to chase me down and whatnot." So that was kind of our plan going into it.
In the pre-race, he didn't define early either.
He did not
so.
define early. So we roll up to the start line, and there wasn't even a whistle or a go. The lady just says, "Okay, guys, just you guys can get going now. Just get moving." Right. So
Go on, get now.
yeah,
Go
I'll get on. Go on, get.
Go on, get.
So
I love that.
the pace car goes, and she goes, "All right, you guys, you can just go on and get." And so we roll out, and no kidding, Hannell sprints off the front from like at mile 4 feet
from the Gone Get.
Gone get, and he
That's
just
awesome.
bolts.
Because no one's expecting it. Especially
Nobody's expecting
Everyone's
it.
like, "Did she say go on get?"
Yeah,
Did she say go on get? And then it's like, "Oh, there's someone sprinting up ahead."
And he just went.
And everybody else is looking through a wall of orange at
Correct.
him right away. And
So we had lined up with.
Did you guys block to start? Oh,
Yes,
you
we did. There was about 5 or 6 of us right at the front, including Chris. And when he went, we were.
Chris is calling now.
Chris is
He's-
calling us to get in. So we were. So as soon as he goes, there were 5 or 6 of us right at the front, and there was a center line rule, so you couldn't cross the center line, and we kind of blocked anybody from going. Now, there were guys that could have gone, but the guys that would have chased him down were like on the 3rd row or the 4th row.
That's their fault. Bad positioning.
And so he just got away. And I had this.
I still feel like, I feel like maybe you guys should have been like, if you guys need to get through.
well, if
like,
somebody
I know.
said something, you guys
We
would
would have.
Yeah.
If somebody had said, "Hey, that's Hannell. He can solo this whole race. Somebody's got to chase him down." But nobody said anything. They didn't say anything till about mile 3.
Yeah.
Wow,
no,
that's a
that's
long
They're like,
time.
That's their
"You guys,
fault.
Hannell is gone already. He can solo this whole race. Somebody needs to go." But
Yeah.
nobody did.
And that's where you draw the line. If somebody says you need to let me by and you say no and you guys
that's not
straight
cool.
up block the road, that's against the rules. You
Correct,
can't
right.
do that. But nobody asked. And you guys can ride, like you're up front, that's the pace we want to ride at.
Yep.
If you want to get around, you got to say something. That's bad on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really hilarious that he
That
just
move's
went.
never going to work again.
No. So and Chris soloed the whole race, 54 miles, and he won by 7 minutes. He beat us by 7 minutes, the whole field. So
That's insane.
He just
Did he work hard?
he said so it was 3 laps. It was really 2 3/4 laps. He says he worked really hard for 2 laps, expecting
Right.
to get caught, and then he just kind of hung on at the end. When he went through one of the corners, they says, "You've got 6 minutes on him." And he's like, "What? I've got 6 minutes."
Did people just forget that he was out there?
No.
just
After
knew the race was over.
Yeah, after the first 10 miles, they're like, "That's it. He's gone." Yeah. So we're all racing for second. The other thing was
So ridiculous.
the other thing was it was a 50 plus group and the 40 plus group all together, and Chris is a 40 plus, so none of the 50 pluses wanted to chase him down.
Right.
They had no point.
So think about that. You've got the entire dial group, which is a third of the
Yes.
a third of the group, plus 50, the 50 plus people, which is actually a very large group of people.
Yes.
They don't want to chase. So you're talking about a handful, probably less than 5.
You're
Yeah.
down to what, 5,
Correct.
6 guys who would have to drag him in.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's hard.
And they were just like,
Screw this.
Yeah,
Screw
forget this.
When did they
He's
kind of
gone.
decide that was after 3 miles? They were like, we should probably do something.
Well, yeah, we went through like one corner, and they're like, he's got a minute 40 on you, and I'm like, he's a minute 40 up already at like mile 6.
Oh man.
And they're like, oh, okay.
And he can climb. He's probably the best
Yeah.
climber out of that group by far.
So he
Yeah.
was gone. It was so awesome. I was on the front row when we left, and I had this clear decision in my head. Should I go with Hannel right now and see if the two of us get away? And I clearly made the decision in my mind. I do not want to suffer for 2.5 hours with Chris. I'm not going to go.
Because he can suffer.
Yes, he
He's
can suffer.
tough.
And so I'm like, I made the conscious decision. I am not going to go right now. That just sounds like a terrible day. I'm going to sit in this pack and let somebody else chase him down, and nobody else chased him down. So it was pretty funny.
Hindsight being 2020. If you were to do that again this weekend, would you go with him?
I might have, and if it didn't work, and if two
just
of
drop
us
back to the
went,
group.
then
Yeah.
we just drop back to the group, and something else happens. There was enough of us that we still could have made something work, and it wasn't like we didn't do anything. But because he was so far out, the pace was relatively tame. I mean, it was easy to stay in the group.
Do you feel like you didn't get the race that you wanted because it was easy?
No, I was super happy to have Chris out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
but I mean, like, you need to go hard because you're Lance Hepler.
well, don't get me wrong. I made 3 digs. I made 3 efforts to escape.
Okay.
I tried 3 different times to get away on different spots. On a roller, on a downhill, on a big flat section. I tried 3 different times to get away from the group. And every time I got 300-400 yards out and got chased down by the other people who had me marked.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I didn't try to get away, and I was going to try to bridge up or hoping that 1 or 2 guys would go with me.
Yeah.
And it just never stuck.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool. I mean, yeah.
So we all ended up together. We were all in one big group. We come to the final climb, and I still had fairly good legs.
Yeah.
So I was able to push out at the end, and I ended up 5th in the 40.
That's a solid finish.
That's
So it was a
points,
solid finish.
right?
And
Were you the first?
boom,
Upgrade. Wait.
won cash money.
Oh, yeah. That's the,
$15.
Let's see this.
what are we going to do with that money?
Professional.
You're framing that, right?
I'm framing the envelope. I won $15.
What are we going to do with that money? What are we going to do with that?
So
do something.
here's now a fact on this podcast. The only person at this podcast who has made money through their racing this season
Is me.
Is Lance.
Lance. I made $15. Wait, the race cost me $40 to get in, so I'm still down.
Oh, well, there you go. No.
Who's keeping track?
That's right.
Exactly.
So were you the first Cat 5 guy?
Yeah. Everybody else were 3s that were ahead of me. Yeah,
Are you-
but
are you-
we were all
how-
scored together.
Is that 4 upgrade coming now?
It's still going to be a while. I mean, it's 2 road races, and I was 4th in one and 5th in one. So
Probably need I feel like to go from 5 to 4 is a little bit faster, right? Like,
Yeah, you only need, I think, 10 points.
Yeah.
You're probably...
I'm probably there.
Right there.
And 4, that's fine. But what I want to do is be a 3. Yeah.
But yeah, you got time.
But if we get you to a
race.
4, you can go race with the 3-4s out at Portland International Raceway,
Yeah.
the PAR. That's a much funner race than hanging
the
out with the
4-5s.
4-5s. Yeah. So you would just destroy the 4-5 group anyway. So
There's a race tonight,
Yeah.
and it's a 4-5 30 plus race.
Yep.
And so I'm gonna.
You're going to go?
probably going to be
See
out
what
there.
happens.
I'm going to go out there. Maybe going to race. Maybe not. Not sure yet. But I'm going to go out there. Regardless, I'm going to take pictures or race. It's going to be
Awesome.
one or the other. So
You're going to see if the roads are wet or
It's going to be
yeah.
wet.
If it's going to be wet, I'm going to pass on it. It's not worth it to me.
It really it should be raining for like that whole 4-hour stretch.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, just because I'm a homer when it comes to dialed, how did the rest of the fields do? I think we had Nate Gibson second place in the 4-5s in his first bona fide road race.
Correct. Nate Scott.
Yes.
Yeah. He.
What
he
did I
was,
say?
You said Nate Gibson.
Oh, that's another Nate.
He was-
It's in
he
the
was
cycling
combining-
community. Wow.
He was combining Nate
Yes,
and me
he's
in there into
combining
one cyclist. Yeah.
Sorry.
So Nate Scott, he raced in the there was a 3-4-5 field, but the 3s were scored separately than the 5s, and he took second, his first ever outdoor road race, and he took second in the 4-5s.
Yes.
And the guy he lost to races for is Lucas Strain, who races for the Points Nokia team, and he's like a Cat 1 cyclocross guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
just kind of working his way up through the ranks.
Yeah, and he hasn't road raced very much, so he
gotcha.
came out to race. So
Gotcha.
Nate took second there, which was awesome.
I know that Tonk and
And Tonk and Mike Guyvan were there,
Yep,
and
they did well as well.
they were both helping Nate. So they helped him kind of get to the end, which was
Good.
great.
Yeah.
So that was great.
And then our 50s.
And then our 50s, they were all in our group, and we took third, fourth, and fifth in the 50s.
That's awesome.
Yeah. With John Hatfield and Andy
Levine
and Whitney Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took third, fourth, and fifth. So that was pretty awesome.
Now, we didn't have any women out there this year, correct?
We did not.
Yeah,
No,
I
nobody
know
showed
that Kim
up.
Catherine's still kind of, I think, trying to round herself back into shape, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then,
Sick for a bit.
Yeah, and then the others just didn't make it down. I don't know
Right.
if it had something to do with the weather or not, but
It rained the whole last half of the race. It was a 2.5 hour race, and it was an hour and a half of it in the rain.
that race can be pretty brutal
Yeah.
with conditions changing on a dime. It can go from 50 to 40 like in a snap of a finger, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden hit you with some wind and some wet, and it's just not a pleasurable time. But you're racing bikes, so it kind of that's the offset. You just got to get to the finish line and get yourself back to the car and warm
That's
yourself
right.
up.
One of the cool things that they do at this race is on the porta potties, they put names of former winners on the porta potties, kind of like Paris-Roubaix, right?
Yep.
So they put names of the
That
former
is
like a
awesome.
Pro 1-2 guy who won in previous years, and the race director was a competitor and nemesis of our Michael Myers.
I was going to say Mike Myers won last
Yeah,
year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
2 years ago. And so he put Michael's name on one of the porta potties.
No,
you know.
awesome.
Yeah, they only put the names up of the Pro 1-2s that win, so they don't usually do the other classes. And what was neat was they paid homage to Michael, even
Yeah.
though he was I think it was a Cat 3 when he
Probably
won the
at
race.
that time,
Right.
He won it like in good form.
Yeah.
And Mr. Goldstein, who is the race director, paid, honored Michael, paid tribute to him by putting his name over the porta potty this year, and actually sent out something to all of Oberland on Ober Chat, kind of explaining what
Yeah,
it was. And it
why
was
it was there.
Yeah, it was pretty special. So
It was
that
pretty
put
cool.
a big smile on my face.
The other cool thing that they do at this race is the winner of the women and the winner of the men, they make $100 and they paid them in gold coins.
That's awesome.
And they gave him a crown and a cape to wear.
For the
Kings
picture,
Valley.
So
Yeah,
Kings
makes
Valley.
sense. Yep.
So they give him this stuff. And then the people who win prize money, they give you an envelope. And on the envelope, there's a picture of a professional racer. And if you can name the racer and the race, they give you an extra $5.
Hold on.
So who's on that picture?
I know the racer's Julian Alaphilippe.
That's
Yes.
The race is.
I don't know. That's the thing.
It's a
I don't know what
downhill
race
finish.
It is.
I think I'm going to be able to say the race. Hold on.
Come on.
Uh,
It is this year.
Hold
I'll
on.
give you that.
is this
Yeah,
year?
yeah,
this
yeah.
year.
It was this year. Is that Milan San Remo?
Nope.
Wait. I know it. I know it now.
What?
Anybody else want to guess?
Go ahead.
Strada Bianchi.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice work.
I did not
Second
get the
guess.
extra $5.
You knew that was Julian Alaphilippe.
I
though,
got
right?
Alaphilippe, but I didn't guess the race.
Yeah,
so
but it's
I didn't
really
get
hard
the
to tell what
extra
race that
$5.
is.
It's
So
a
ev-
downhill finish after the tough climb
Yeah.
at Strada. They have this weird.
So
chicane.
everybody that went up to get their prize money, that you got a chance to win an extra $5 if you could name the racer and the race. So
That's
it was
cool.
It was kind of a cool,
That is cool.
little thing.
That's very
So,
cool.
I got one 2 years ago when I did that race. Or
Did you get it right?
yeah, it was Greg Van Avermaet at the Olympics. So,
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
got
We
lucky.
should
Yep.
we should post that picture to our Dialed Instagram
Yeah,
so that
for
people
sure.
can see it and be like, oh yeah, you guys are idiots.
Yes.
'Cause
We'll
I
post
didn't
that,
get it.
Dennis, so you can see it. Dennis didn't have a fair shot at this.
No,
That's
he
not fair.
didn't have a shot.
Lance, you have an assignment now. So
Okay,
good.
I'm on it.
Anything else to share, my friend?
I think that's too much already.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Mine's real quick because it was really boring. Just sat on the trainer this week. I sucked. I didn't ride outside one time this past week. It was terrible. It was
a bad
all
weather
trainer
week.
sessions.
It was a bad weather week, man.
Yeah,
it wasn't good
I
weather.
could have gotten outside yesterday. I kind of I was looking at the weather report. It was supposed to rain. I'm like, I don't want to ride in the rain. It's kind of my thing right now. I was like, I don't want to and kind of shouldn't. So I'm just going to sit on a trainer and do a deep dive in YouTube land and just go through this whole educational process of learning about some things that I'm working on. And that was well worth it. And the whole time I'm looking out the window, I'm like, there's no freaking rain. And it looks almost kind of nice out there. I'm like, yeah, but I got my 2 hour ride in, finished, it's still dry, and it was dry even for like a couple hours after that. So I totally screwed the pooch on that one, but learned some stuff.
Workouts are going okay?
Yeah, they're going okay. I'm still this past week I kind of got myself back into form from missing the week prior being out of town, but I'm still dealing with some ankle-ish stuff and shoulders still a little bit tight, but Evan's helping me with that.
Amount of time on the bike is okay?
I think I finished with 8 and change. 8 hours is
good. Kind of coming back.
That's back to your normal.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna race the Yam Hill coming up this week.
That's going to be a cool race.
Yeah, I'm going to be training, and I'll get.
Was
some
that the
more
mountain
hours in.
bike race?
It's a gravel race.
Gravel.
So,
Yam Hill.
yeah. So, but and on top of that, just having 3 kids playing four sports, that ain't no joke, man. That takes up a lot of time, especially on
soccer's unreal.
Yeah.
I think back to being a kid. I was like, the kids play more now than when I did. I was like, no wonder my mom got all her runs in just during the games or whatever. She just go and jog around. Yeah,
it's always baseball, soccer, and track. Track.
Yeah,
okay. I like that.
My oldest is playing running track, so yeah, it's always fun on Saturday mornings comparing notes and schedules with my wife, and we're trying to get our workouts and our rides and runs and all that other stuff in, and then we're trying to figure out the kids' schedules. It's just mayhem. So we got it done though. So anyway, let's move forward. Hey, that wasn't too bad. Backpedal for 30 minutes as opposed to the hour-long one that we had last week. And we had another person in here backpedal. Doing good, boys.
Dennis, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. I was thinking for a little while about that guy with the 7-minute gap. That's got to be one of the best moments in cycling.
Oh, yeah.
You go out in the breakaway, and then you get someone on the side of the road who tells you a gap that makes you know that the peloton just gave up.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's
so good.
Happy days. Yeah. If you knew Chris Handel as well, he is salt of the earth, man. That guy is fantastic.
Yeah.
So he's super competitor too, but Mr. Humble. Oh gosh.
It's fun.
Good times. All right, let's jump into our topic for today. We are going to talk about cycling teams, clubs, and communities, and how they affect the roles that let me start over. I'm trying to read this and trying to think of something to say, and that's just typical Jake fashion, stumbling over his words here. Cycling teams, clubs, and communities, and the role they play in our sport. So we want to talk about how these things all have affected each of us individually. I'm very curious to see how these things kind of dovetail into the Bereda training system that Dennis is going to share with us today. So let's kind of jump into that. Dennis, you and I kind of talked about this leading into this podcast, and you had some thoughts. Why don't you go ahead and share your thoughts on putting together community and how you're going to help us make that even better?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely what Bereda is really interested to. We're building a peer-to-peer coaching platform for endurance sports. So basically what we want to try to do is increase people's ability to connect and collaborate and help each other improve in their training. So, I mean, on the product side, it's pretty simple. Really, the first version of Bereda is just a messaging app for endurance sports. So you can have your riding data, your all your files right next to the conversation, right where you need them. So instead of doing the usual copy and paste of Strava charts into Facebook Messenger to have a conversation about them, you kind of just have it all in one spot, and you can get down to business.
Do you guys support other platforms besides Strava?
Right now, we're coming up on launching our beta, and we're going to launch with a Strava integration. Gotcha. But we definitely plan on adding more integrations as we keep going.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's pretty much on Strava.
Yeah,
Strava's got to be king right now, right?
It is totally right. Like that's the big piece for sure to snag.
Or Training Peaks would be the other one.
Training Peaks. Yeah, the only question about that is like, are their APIs open? Can you pull data from there?
From it? Yeah.
And also. Yeah, they're kind of I don't know. They feel like a little bit more of a closed system, because they want to kind of have coaches come in and have training plans with it. They're taking money from the coaches and they're taking money from the athletes. So that's kind of part of their puzzle. So I'm not sure they're going to open up.
Not going to be open.
Who knows? Yeah.
Dennis, how did you come up with this idea? What was the inspiration?
Well, it's not our first product actually. Bereda actually started as an annual training plan tool. So for the listeners, an annual training plan is kind of the layer above a normal training plan. Essentially, it just lays out the weekly targets over the course of an entire season to help you peak for your main events and not overtrain, kind of pace out your effort over the course of the whole year. So that was our first product, and it was kind of in talking to the customers and users of that product. It was actually quite a I guess you could call it quite a nerdy tool, and we attracted a pretty experienced user base, and so we were asking them questions about how did you guys become the athletes that you are today, and they'd often tell us things about reading lots of books and content and listening to podcasts like you guys. Then they'd say I'd use a pre-made training plan. Some people would do that. Some people had hired coaches and had great experiences with that. But the thing that we kept hearing time and time again was that talking to your friends about training was one of the best ways to learn. And, kind of when I heard that over and over, it makes perfect sense because it's exactly how I learned throughout my cycling career. And I know a lot of other people that, have really important training partners in their lives that have helped them become the athletes they are as well.
Yeah, really looking at this table, all four of us basically build our training plans that way, right?
I don't have a training plan. I just ride every day.
Lance.
I'm a loser.
Lance, what's your plan?
I don't know. I'm just get on my bike and ride till I'm tired.
Yeah. We talk about this quite a bit on this podcast. Like, I think most of us around the table here, are pretty big on like having a plan, like coming up with a structured, program to,
Well, my plan is not smart. No. I'm fully aware of that.
But I think
Lance is the devil's advocate.
But it's good to have you on here too, because it's kind of like, you've always kind of got that piece of the puzzle where it's like, do I want to do something more structured? I feel like that's a debate that you have with yourself a little bit, because maybe if there was some really particular race that you really wanted to nail or something like that, you might go ahead and take the next step of being like, all right, I'm going to do something a little bit more structured, and maybe not, maybe it's just not worth it. But I do think it's interesting that you have that debate within yourself. And I think all of us do, right? Like, Jake's always saying like, you got to have some unstructured workouts. You have to have, and Evan's much more structured probably than all of us put together, right? So I think it's kind of nice to have like a little bit of a balance on the podcast group itself. Yeah. So.
Dennis, when you were racing around in North America, it's a little bit different from the triathlon world. I know with cycling, you have to build that training plan around your race schedule, which I'm sure was a pretty intense race schedule at that time. Did you have a coach, or did you kind of come up with your own rhythm and your own structure to your own training?
Yeah, I had a coach for I think maybe a 6-month period throughout my cycling career, and besides that, I was self-coached, and I think I'm just that kind of person, and on the other side of it is a big fun part of the sport for me too. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit of the mad scientist type. I really liked to learn about training, figure out what I was going to do, and then watch that plan turn into results on the road. Mm-hmm. And for me, that seeing myself improve and me being the master of that was, as much fun as, almost as much fun as, riding the bike, but
yeah, no, you're right. I think there's something, and I'm sure people who are coached would, counter this, but I really think coaching yourself and having success is a pretty, cool feeling. It really is. Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the people that have coaches and then, have a really positive review of the coach often say that the coach was the person that helped them learn the most. Mm-hmm. And, I think, oftentimes athletes and coaches, after a few years kind of find a different arrangement where they might not need as much, but it's still good to have extra eyes on. But that's just it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. How would you say that Bereda is going to help, like say a club or a team in general?
Well, we'd really like to be the hub for communication for cycling teams and clubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say hub, is that just for like communication? Because right now, that for me with Dialed Cycling, that was a struggle in the beginning. It's really like how are we going to communicate with each other? And it was a little bit easier when there was only like 15 of us. And now that we're like north of 130, it becomes a little bit laborious trying to get everybody on the same page to communicate. We've been using the Facebook group, and it's just, it's a closed group where everybody can go in there and kind of, say their piece. But you get a lot of people that hate Facebook. You got people that just don't get the notifications. You get people that are just seldom on social media to begin with. And sometimes they'll kind of miss some communications and things of that nature. Plus, that's not really a great place to talk shop when it comes to the development of, fitness and structured training and things of that nature. So we've kind of dabbled with different things, and I've probably tried 3 or 4. The Facebook thing is the closest thing that I can say that works okay for us to communicate as a team. It would be great if we could have more of a central place, a central hub where we can get in there and we can talk some serious shop, whether it be like race preparation, talk about training programs. And it's not that we're trying to be, exclusive or elitist, but we don't really want other people coming and getting in our business. If we're talking about race strategy or we're talking about training strategy, and it's not all proprietary stuff, nothing like that at all, but we don't want everybody knowing really what we're up to if we're being competitive and we're training our butts off to get.
If Chris Handel's going to go from the gun, exactly. We don't want everybody to.
Yeah, that kind of changes the fun of it all. So, how is it that Bereda could help us as a team?
Well, I think for Bereda, we're still early days on the group functionality. So I think it's a little bit yet to be seen, but yeah, I've talked to lots of clubs and lots of communities who, have done exactly what you guys have, which is, fire up a Facebook group because, what else are you going to do? And then you start to hit some pain points with that. And maybe you try an online forum instead. And, maybe that's not the best thing either. So, I think in the next 6 months, we're going to be figuring out exactly what's going to solve this problem. But I think, for cycling teams and clubs, it's definitely needs some unique functionality that hopefully we can provide.
Yeah, it would be neat if you guys could marry together a Facebook group to the whole Strava functionality and put in a twist of Training Peaks and just really make it this like rock star of a program for teams to use. Because man, I would sign up for that in a New York second.
Mm-hmm. That's the idea. Yeah, and it's interesting what you said about not wanting just anyone to, you're not being elitist. You're just trying to,
right.
Have the dialed cycling club. And one thing I found fascinating in the last few months, again, talking to lots of clubs, lots of teams, lots of communities, is the difference between some communities. And I'll tell you, the place I'm seeing this happening a lot, which is fascinating right now, is in the Zwift world, where so many people. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're right. Absolutely, nail on the head right there. There's just like such an interesting phenomenon going on right now with just like the blooming of these teams online. It's crazy. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's just it. And it's like they're just exploding. Yeah. And I've talked to the leaders of some clubs, and they're even amazed at how quickly their clubs have grown, and they never expected it. But I think it all just really goes to show how much people want to be part of something when they join these sports, which is kind of counterintuitive because they're kind of individual sports.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but I think if you look at these endurance sports, I was actually just talking with some of my patients about this. The coolest thing about endurance sports is that they stay hyper competitive as you age. So you still got, Matt, we just sat down and yesterday Matt just mapped out a plan to qualify for Kona in the triathlon world.
Wait, whoa.
Which is,
we never said that.
quite down a bit. That's what we were met. But there's this hyper competitiveness into 40s and 50s,
sure.
60s. I'll even say, like my mom's in her 60 to 64 age group right now and is like still competitive as heck. What other sport do you, like pickleball or something? Shuffleboard, tennis. I'm going to get some serious hate on like tennis and pickleball players now. But come on, like that, like you there's no other sport that stays competitive as long as these endurance sports do.
Yeah, even me, I have a pipe dream at the age of 27 of winning the Master C National Championships. So
there you go. Long-term plan. Yeah.
I've had the privilege of actually being friends with, I think, 3 different people who have won Master C National Championships. So maybe that has something to do with it.
There you go.
Right on. So just tell us a little bit more about Bereda. Just let's dig in a little bit deeper. What's the core of it? What is that you can tell us that's going to kind of put people are just now scratching the surface. We're just now starting to hear about it, and they're hearing about it on the podcast right now. Tell us more in depth what it is all about.
Well, I think it's being able to connect and collaborate with training partners you trust, and getting more out of the sport. So I think one thing that Bereda is it's private messaging, right? So it's not posting your ride and everyone in the world can see it and give you thumbs up. Instead, it's actually the analogy I like to draw is that where you have Facebook in the real world, where you're posting lots of content, you're getting likes, you're getting comments. Really, the apps that have grown past Facebook, past Instagram in terms of usage are one-to-one messaging apps, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, things like this, and we really want to bring that to endurance sports, so people can talk about their training and help each other with their training plans, and just be more involved, because it's kind of like we were just saying, we're having a lot of, we're in agreement. We get a lot of positivity out of being involved with others in the sport. You look at the Zwift world and people are getting a lot of positivity out of connecting with people all around the world and online. And, even with a local club like your own, you can't always connect in person as much as you'd like to.
Yeah.
And so it's like, can you build something to continue that conversation online and build connections that way?
So in essence, then I'd be looking at my Strava, and let's say that Matt and I are connected on Bereda, and Matt can then just send me an instant message like, hey, I knew that you were going out to do your workout today. How did it go? And nobody else is going to be privy to that conversation, but it's still kind of attached to that ride profile, or is it not? Or how does that
Yeah,
set?
absolutely. So you and Matt would have a private conversation where you can just talk normally. But also, if Matt posts up a ride, you can go into that ride and leave him a comment, which then gets pulled into that main conversation. So at the end of the day, you get a chronological order of all the communication that's happened between you and Matt. And, that can be about past activities, but I think it gets really interesting when you start to get the collaborative part where it's, maybe Matt is new to the sport and he doesn't know how to set his FTPs. So you can go in and set his FTPs up for him.
Wow.
And then he's off and running, right?
So I actually, sorry to cut you off here real quick. I see a phenomenal integration here with our youths. We've got a budding youth program here. We've got I think it's over 20 kids now. And just about all of them are on Strava. So I could go in there and have a conversation with these kids and say like, hey, let's tweak this, and what the heck were you doing there? Or what was your thought process on this? I could have these conversations with them, and it's just the two of us having this conversation without me calling them out in front of the world on their Strava. Is that kind of what I'm seeing?
That is exactly it. Yeah, it's the ability to have public comment boards aren't a great place to exchange guidance, and what Bereda wants to do is enable people to learn from each other. And so the best place to do that's in a one-to-one private message, and so that's what we want to bring.
So there's going to be then a big play here to maybe attract coaches to come work with their clients using your platform, correct?
I'd say so, yeah. And I think even coaches have actually a really big hurdle in terms of switching software platforms. It's something we're pretty well aware of, because coaches have 20, 30 clients. Everyone has learned how to use a certain piece of software. There's a lot tying them to what they're using, which can be a bit unfortunate. But I think with Bereda, the interesting thing that can happen is even experienced athletes like you guys, you guys are already running a podcast where you're blasting out tons of experience and information to people that need it. And I think with Bereda, you could come in and all of a sudden you could turn these experienced athletes into a little bit of coaches. Because, again, I've had lots of conversations with people who say, I'd love to get involved with coaching, but I have to buy this fancy coaching account and, I have to do this and that, and I don't know if it's worth it. But, I think, well, the real question is just like, why? It's 2019. Why isn't it easy for us to connect with each other and share our data and be able to use that to actually get value out of it and improve?
That seems to be the hardest thing is to be able to connect and share the data so that you can see exactly what data you really should be looking at. Is that what Bereda's trying to solve?
Well, it's kind of interesting the way the world is right now where, we spend $1,500 to buy a power meter, another several $100s to get a Garmin heart rate monitor. You get rigged up with all this stuff. You buy a subscription to get a private analytics account, and that's just it. All this data, all this information ends up in an account that is private to you, and chances are you don't really know what you're doing in there right off the bat.
Right, yeah.
And I think there's a big drop off of people not really getting the value out of everything they just invested all this money into. And so I think with Bereda, you could connect with a peer who could help show you the way. And then, that's just it. It's like, why in 2019 do we have all this valuable information locked up behind a private analytics account?
So that brings up a question. How do you monetize it? How is the pricing work for Bereda if you're going to be part of the platform?
The $1 million question.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're toying with a couple of different monetization schemes. I think the one that we are thinking about most strongly right now is doing a freemium model. And I think what we'd like to do is give away the chat and the past data, the past activities. The ability to talk about them. We'd like to do that for free. And then if you wanted to join a community, which could entail, having a future plan and these types of things, I think that could be the premium functionality.
I see.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because I feel like the lack of the public access is actually becoming more appealing as, something like Strava is neat, but everything you post up on Strava is viewable. I mean, that's,
You can still make it somewhat private. Like my account is private. You can't go in there and just see all of my data. You have to be friends with me, but I got a lot of friends on there.
care.
So just about everybody can see that information.
That's the other thing is
So,
actually, I think mine is private too, but that's,
And the other thing about Strava too, that if you start to dig into some of the analytics, I mean, you're looking at numbers, but you're not looking at all of the numbers. So you are kind of missing some of the story of what happened.
Or in my case, basically none of the numbers, but yeah.
Exactly. So
I've been a completely open book. All my stuff is public.
Oh yeah.
Mine too.
I mean,
I would be too. I just don't know how.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. It's not like I'm not trying to hide something. It's that I was hoping that people would be able to see that stuff and be able to give me advice.
Absolutely.
But nobody gives you advice. But a platform like this allows you to.
It creates that environment where it's peer-to-peer coaching, exactly what you were saying there, Dennis. Yeah.
So is the model the same, Dennis, that people would request to follow you or request to connect with you? Then once you're connected and you're friends or what have you, you can start having those conversations?
That's just it. Yeah, you have complete control over who you're connecting with. And so we actually envision Bereda, having a lot fewer connections, but a lot more engaged ones.
Yeah. That makes
and
sense.
I think it goes vice versa. It's not just people seeing your stuff, but also, who do you care about the most to follow their training? And for me, it's like my dad, my brother-in-law, my co-founder, and being alerted when they do a ride and getting pulled in and having that conversation with them is something we want to enable. Because again, it's like, I only go on Strava so often. I often miss my dad's rides. I often miss my brother-in-law's rides. But they're the ones that I'm the most interested in.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, here's an idea for you. We've got the live tracking and the beacon and all that other stuff. What would be really cool is if you could somehow communicate with people while they're in the ride. If you could send a message to them like, hey, I'm watching you right now. I can see that you're putting out some watts. Good job, man. Kill the next one. That would be sweet. If all of a sudden that popped up, I could poke fun at Lance all day long.
That would make my indoor ride so much more interesting. Oh my gosh. My next century indoor ride would be a much more pleasurable experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, actually, kind of the platform that's doing a little bit of that is Zwift, where they actually have one-to-one messaging, but it's actually only, from what I've seen, it's only inside during the ride that it actually happens, and you don't really continue the conversation before or after. But I mean, everyone knows how much fun it is to engage with other people while they're riding Zwift. So
Yeah.
True.
Dennis, how are you guys doing on the kind of like launch development process? Are you guys in beta currently?
yeah, so we have our beta coming out in May. We have a product right now. It's in development. We're getting our first few users on. I mentioned before the recording, Justin Wagner from Team ODZ, your guys' Zwift expert. He's been in. He was an early customer of Bereda all the way back with the ATP product. So we're getting some guys in now, and things are going well. So we have a few more things to dial together, but I think we're going to be launching a beta in May. So if any listeners are interested in what we're talking about, then they can go to beredatraining.com. That's BEREDA training.com and sign up, and they'll be on the wait list, and we'll be getting them in as soon as we can.
Where did that name come from?
I was wondering when that was going to come up.
'Cause it's not the Dennis Cottreau training program.
No.
So I don't know if you guys had this experience when you guys were naming your company, but I found it to be quite the roller coaster, and especially in terms of getting the .com and everything. But anyways, Bereda, we ended up finding Bereda, which is a Swedish word, which means to prepare.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, and where Bereda was originally the training plan company, that was the intent. And of course, I think with training plans, all that, as we were talking about, is still the plan to bring into peer-to-peer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about the club with Dialed? So you guys started off really small, you've gotten bigger, now you've got this podcast. I'm sure that it's picking up more and more interested, and more people are trying to get involved.
Yeah.
What?
That sometimes might even be an understatement.
It's crazy.
It's
actually.
been crazy.
It did start small, but it's really still a very young club. Like, are we on
2
your
years? This is our third year.
Yeah.
and it's big, but we were talking about the race, the dynamics of races, like some of these local races, and this is not a small race community, and Dialed is doing very well, one from a number standpoint, but which helps a lot, but also just like participating in races, and I feel like, just participating in the cycling community.
25 miles into the race on Saturday, I roll up next to this guy, and he looks at me and he goes, "How many of you Dialed guys are there?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's not quite enough."
Yeah. Third of the
Well, it's
field.
contagious, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it also just at the end of the day promotes other teams to try and grow too. Or at least that's what we hope that it's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, if you go to a race and you're like, oh, we had 3 guys in the field, you're going to get on your team you'd be like, hey guys, we need more people coming out here. We just raced a 9-person Dialed team in a 30-person field. So yeah.
This team really has been Jake's baby. He came from Southern California, where he was part of a team down there, and was part of a healthy cycling community. He came here and got involved with the team his first year here. It ultimately kind of fell apart, and Jake, instead of deciding to join another team, he decided he wanted to start his own team. So that's kind of been the genesis of Dialed Cycling, is Jake just decided he was going to do it himself. That first year, we started with 12 people.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and now there's 130 of us.
Yeah,
so
it grew quite quickly. So, and a lot of it, you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when we were first starting the podcast. People want to belong, and that's me. And I thought that exact same thing. Like when I was in Southern California, I was part of like a little cycling team. It was mostly mountain bike centric. The racing scene down there is not great at all. So you had to travel quite a ways, and there weren't very many races on the schedule for the road scene. For the mountain biking scene, there it's growing and it's budding down there. So we would do our stuff, and there was an affiliate club with us, and it was fun. And I wanted to build a team, and I started to do that just before I moved up here. And I left what I'd started down there to some friends, and that ultimately got folded into another organization that's doing good stuff. But when I came up here, I had an idea of what I wanted to build, and I wanted to have something special. I wanted to be a part of this team that I had in my brain because it's something that I wanted. What is it that would force me or draw me to come in and be a part of this organization, and what boxes would there need to be checked to make it kind of a fun and special thing. So I laid all this out, and we talked about Michael Myers earlier. After I left the team that I was on earlier because it pretty much fell apart, I went up to Michael and said, "Hey, I'm going to start a team, and this is what it's going to be about." And we've talked about this on the podcast before. I laid it out for him. I'm like, "You want to be a part of this?" And his answer was, "F yeah." So, he helped me, with some of the building blocks, and we had some people in mind, and we talked all of them, and we put together this little cast and crew of about 12 guys, like Lance said, Lance being part of that original group of guys. And we went out and started racing bicycles. We did our very first race, and I think almost all of us showed up to the race, and we were all just doing the Jack Frost time trial, and it was great. And we had this like neat little bond, and everybody was so cool. And what was special, I'm like, we need to make sure that we maintain the chemistry that we have, and we want to, as we add more people to this dynamic, make sure that we maintain that chemistry and always
not sacrifice it for the growth, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah,
The growth,
exactly does.
the growth that I would be perfectly happy if we were still just 20 people, as long as we had this chemistry, and we've managed to continue to grow. So
it was going great until you decided to add triathlon to it, and now you got a bunch of wahoos over here. You got 2 to 50% of your poor podcast has to be triathloners.
But it's been a lot of fun, and we are constantly trying to like challenge ourselves, and I've kind of made this it's almost turned into a full-time job, to be honest with you, and the pay isn't great, so I would but it's all good. I mean, and we want to reach out to the community, we want to give back, we want to be good stewards, and we want to take advantage of every technology, every advantage that we can possibly get our hands on. So I'm trying to constantly connect us with different people in the industry, and to be able to talk to somebody like yourself that's coming up with something that, gosh, I'm starting to see the writing on the wall. This could potentially be something that could help our team, especially when we're talking about the juniors, because that's something that I'm very passionate about. Everybody that knows me, that understands my vision for the future, will know that a lot of it is tied into the development of these kids, because that's the future of racing. It's the future of our team. And if we can do a good job of setting the table and figure some things out, whether it be recreating what people have done in the past that has been successful, or coming up with a new formula that can help us plug into kids in this day and age that understand technology and they communicate differently and things of that nature, being able to speak their language. I think that having a messaging system as opposed to sending them an email or like an what? What are you talking about? Just
we can write them a
DM
letter
me,
too.
man, DM
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I think that there could be something here. So
I like how intentional you guys were when you started this club. It's kind of like I said, talking to lots of others, and sometimes there's this unexpected growth. Some have been really successful, kind of finding an identity as they grow. But I think in my opinion, the ones that are going to be really successful are the ones that figure out what they're all about right at the start, and add people that hold those same values. And I think that keeps the vibe of the team and the club really strong, and I mean, that's what's going to help you guys be successful.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we've got great people, and I've got great people that I've been fortunate to have surround me and to help in this whole team and the growth and the development of what we've got going on. We've got a little board of directors, if you will, and we have great conversations, and we talk about like our forward thinking and our visions, and everybody's on the same page, and we're going to protect that dearly. And I hope at the end of the day that we can, encourage and we can motivate and we can inspire other teams to kind of pick up their game a little bit, because I want every single community to have a strong team. And if every single community has a strong team or a strong club, they're going to attract more people into the sport, and it's just going to help the sport on a whole in all disciplines get better and grow and strive. So that rising tide, we want to be that rising tide for all ships. not that we're anything special. We're just doing our game, and we're trying to do it well. So
Very special, man.
Yeah, you guys seem pretty special to me.
Yeah.
Matt's really special.
That's the other kind of special. Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys.
My first cycling community was in my hometown. It was a bunch of masters age riders, and I picked up cycling when I was 13. I was a hockey player, and I just started doing it in the summer to stay in shape. And, it was learning from all these older guys how to ride bikes, sprinting for town signs. And then when I went to university, I went to in Montreal. My university had a cycling club, and I figured my hockey career was over, and so I picked up cycling, and then that ended up just being an amazing experience of having my university cycling team. Then going and doing the semi-pro. I think basically all the years that I cycled successfully, I had a big group of people around me. And, maybe it's a little bit starting the business, but maybe it's also, the fact that I don't have as close of a network around me anymore. And I think you take it for granted when you have it. And when it's not there anymore, you notice that, how big of an impact that has on you.
Yeah, for sure. In the cycling community, I don't know what it is about it. On the whole, I mean, I'm going to go as far as to say about 98% of the people that I've interacted with are pretty freaking cool. I mean, the cyclists are great people, and I feel at home when I'm around cyclists. More times than not, they're just like great people. So, yeah,
they're definitely my favorite patients. I can tell you that much. Yeah, that's.
And every once in a while, really elitist, but
yeah,
There's a few of those.
You do get that guy. Yeah,
we're trying to quash them. So
yeah,
yeah. I think I heard you guys talking about that on a podcast the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? The what bothers us about the sports episode? Yeah, I think we just ended up talking about elitist cyclists the whole time.
That's just it. And I think one thing we'd love to do, I think it's a big challenge, but thinking about beginners in the sport and with a tool like Bereda, how can we help beginners navigate? I listened to your guys' podcast with Meredith Atwood, and I found that so fascinating for so many reasons.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, getting that insight into the beginner rider, because I mean, honestly, like it's been so long since I've been a beginner, and actually losing fitness and trying to claw it back is giving me a little bit of insight into it. But I mean, they have so many unique questions that need to be answered, and we'd love to create an environment where that can really help people get off the ground more successfully.
Yeah, we could definitely use that. We're trying to make some inroads to connecting with those people. Unfortunately, we get a little bit of a reputation here locally as just being like too fast, too hard to hang with, or too strong. You hear that quite often. You don't think about that kind of when you're in the moment. You're just out being yourself, and you don't realize that like even your like zone 2, like just easy ride for some people is like breakneck pace, like sucking wind, and heart rate's about ready to explode. We're gonna be providing some rides, and it won't be every single weekend, but we'll go out and we'll kill it for 2-3 hours on our team ride. We'll come back to where we started, and then for me personally, I'm going to hang out. I'm going to take a group of people on a ride that will be showing up right when we're getting back, and we'll take them out as kind of like an introductory ride. And really, it's going to be like myself and anybody else who wants to join me. We'll come out, we'll ride with these folks, we'll teach, we'll educate, we'll answer questions. There'll be like a full-on Q&A thing while they're getting the workout, working on their fitness, and I won't have to sacrifice my day. And I'm not trying to be selfish, but sometimes when you go out and you ride with some people that aren't in the same shape as you are, and you're trying to get a workout in, and you feel like you could be backpedaling and going faster than you are.
I didn't actually know you were going to do this. This is going to be huge. It's going to be very helpful. I think, I mean, we all, the Saturday Hammerfest is great, and those are fantastic, but I think we could actually attract a lot more people to the sport by doing these like, hey, come ride conversational with us, and we're going to talk about things that you can do to help you like grow in the sport of cycling.
Yeah,
like,
and
that could be huge.
There's going to be 2 components to it. It's going to be the come one, come all kind of thing, and then we're also going to be inviting, because we get quite a few people who will contact and say, hey, I want to be a part of your team. I'm putting out my inquiry to join you guys. And again, we want to protect that chemistry. So we want to make sure that they're a good fit for us as much as we want to make sure that we're a good fit for them as well. So we'll have them come out so that it'll be a conversational thing and they can join that as well. So we'll have like the newbies or the people that are trying to get their fitness, and we'll ride with them, and then other people that want to come out and meet the team. It'll just be a very casual social pace, and they can come out and meet us and talk shop. So
And when are you going to start that?
As soon as the rain stops.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking kind of the May time when the road season when the road season starts to wind down. We'll have more weekends available, and we'll be offering those on Saturdays.
Perfect. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I think it's really good.
Those are going to be fun, and we've kind of broken our organization up here. We're calling it an organization now. Somebody kicked me into. We've got the race team, and those are your people that are very spirited and race oriented and competitive, and we have a club component too. And we actually have 2 different Facebook groups to accommodate both of those. We try and be welcoming. We don't want to be elitist at all, but if people want to be attached to us, but they're not necessarily interested in racing, they can be a part of the club component, and they can come out and join these rides. Or maybe their thoughts are, I'm going to join the club, I'm going to go out there and work on my fitness, and maybe someday I can aspire to get onto the team. And all the while we can teach them and educate them on how racing works, how training works to get faster, and how that whole system works, so that we can start to plant some seeds within them and make sure that they have all of the education that they need to make a good decision. And once they do jump into it, they'll be well informed, and they won't be out there causing all the wrecks in the Cat 4 or 5 field. So,
right. That'd be nice. That'd be very nice.
So, but as I'm thinking, or not thinking, as I'm saying all this, and as we're talking to you, Dennis, about Bereda, I think that there's a play there. I think that there's something to be said about having the ability for us to communicate with these people individually. I think that'd be pretty fantastic to be able to just like connect with, John Smith over here and say, hey, you came out, you did the club ride, we're connected, and you're doing a good job. I know that you were saying that you wanted to do this. I'm watching you, and let's take a look at your power numbers and your training and all this other stuff. That would be fantastic to be able to communicate with him within the confines of being inside the cycling and endurance community.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. I think, we think there's a big opportunity here. I mean, we're still definitely figuring it out as we go along, as any good startup does. We don't have it all figured out, but and that's so 100% why we have a beta coming up, and we're looking for people that are interested in using it and letting us know what they think and helping us make it better, because I think there's something to create that can do a lot of good for the cycling and triathlon industry. And so I hope we can really pull it off.
Okay. You don't have to answer these questions. You can just tell me no. But how many people do you have beta testing it right now, if you don't mind me asking?
So we have a handful, I don't know, let's say dozens of people that are in what we have right now.
Okay.
And then we have, hundreds of people that are signed up to come in when it's a bit more ready to go.
Gotcha.
685.
Oh,
yeah. And I think we have
numbers.
we have more than that through connecting with different teams and clubs and stuff.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Do you guys have a target number of people that you're looking to hit to have wanting to get started in the program when it rolls out next month?
I think as many as we can get, honestly. But I think we're off to a good start, and I think just getting the word out a little bit more should be good.
Good.
Let me circle back, actually, what you're saying about having a club as well as your team. A model that I'm really interested in, and it could work for you guys, is a local triathlon club. So in an urban area, typically the way they're set up is that they have the coach at the top, and then the coach runs a club. And they also have one-to-one coaching athletes within that. But, whereas in cycling coaching, it's almost exclusively a one-to-one basis. In triathlon, it seems like the first step is for people to first join a club, which is actually, I think, a lot less of an intimidating step as opposed to joining the team. They kind of get their feet wet. They see what's going on. They get to rub shoulders with the team members or the more advanced athletes. And I think even what happens is, advanced athletes are feeding information to the less experienced club members, and then over time it's the club members are upgrading and joining the team or getting involved with more serious coaching. And so I think if you guys are thinking about getting a club level going, I think that's gonna provide an easier first step for people to get involved.
Yeah, I'll let Matt and
Absolutely.
Evan speak to this one. I think we're kind of already getting to that point to a certain degree, but you guys can talk about what we have going on with the Dialed Triathlon.
Yeah. So, I mean, really the team has grown about to what we have now, 30 members, I think. Yeah,
right, yeah.
About 30. And what were we last year? 10 or 15?
Yep.
Roughly.
Something like
So we did a meeting to start the year, and we've done this the last 2 years, which is basically it's an introduction. Everybody gets to meet everybody, and that's where training plans are talked about. And by training plans, I mean on a weekly basis of, okay, this is when we're going to try and swim as a team. This is when we're going to try and ride as a team. This is when we're going to try and do our track workouts, which I believe are on Wednesday evenings right now. And as we get closer into the season, that's when the biggest hurdle for triathlon, as Dennis, you probably know with this club form, is open water swimming is everybody's greatest fear, usually with triathlon. So in cycling, the cycling parallel, I really think would be like a road race. That's like, it's live, you're there, bad things can happen, good things can happen too, but bad things can happen, and you want to be prepared for those. And Matt's done a good job at organizing. Last year we had a few open water swim series, which was great. We have a great local area we can do that. And it was, we had a ton of people come out to those.
Yeah, those were great.
Yeah, and that's kind of where everybody gets introduced to that scary aspect of the sport. But I think the cool thing about the early season meeting is everybody gets to talk about what their race plans are for the year. If you don't have a race plan, you get to see who on the team is going to what races. And that's where those social connections, like you're talking about, Dennis, are made is, okay, well, I don't have any idea what race I want to do. Oh, okay, there's this group called Y Triathlon that puts on races. I know I'm going to have 10 to 20 team members at each of these races. I know I can go there, and if I'm putting on my wetsuit backwards, somebody's going to come up to me and be like, you should probably, flip that around.
Hey, Jake, you put your wetsuit on backwards.
Or when you got 15 members there at the race too, if you're running out with your helmet on, somebody's going to be yelling at you, hey, take your helmet off. There's
these are things that we've talked about before.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that actually happen in this sport,
happen.
but it's fun because when you get to rub shoulders with people who have been in the sport for a while. And at the age of 27, I feel really old saying I've been in the sport now for a long time. But
you have.
But about 10 years now, in 10 years, you make about every possible mistake you can make in the sport. So it kind of...
You got more.
I don't know, I'm sure I've got a couple more left in me. But you definitely get to kind of share those stories in those sort of meetings. Yeah. And that's when I know when Jake as the team really started to grow when I got here. We had our meetings at Hub, and that's when everybody got to talk and see each other, and that's where I guess the social aspect of it comes in.
Yeah, and I think one of Dennis's point was like I have noticed this with triathlon clubs where you have like one head coach, and sometimes they'll even have like the team is doing this race at the end of the season. This is what we are training for. Yeah, and really kind of leads the process. You have a coach and you have a team training for the same race kind of at the end of the season. Yeah, and I've seen that work really well, and it's not the model that we have exactly, just because the group, I feel like it's a mixed group, because we have people that are experienced enough that they're not just going to be told what race they're going to do. They want to do which races they want to do. So but that doesn't mean that we couldn't in the future change things, because I think we could attract a lot more people and a lot more introductionary people. I don't know how to say what I'm thinking. But a lot of people that are new to the sport that could potentially see that process of like training for a potential race at the end of the season or however. Yeah. And so so I still think that we have leaders for sure of the triathlon club. I'm thinking of like Robbie Halterman. Yeah. But there's still definitely room for sure to have something that's a little bit more structured.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's something for us to think about for sure.
Yeah. I think it's as the team grew, probably now that need is there to structure. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
High-end cycling teams is definitely a little, like in terms of race schedule and picking, what to focus on, it's definitely different than triathlon, but just that general idea of a group of people kind of aligning themselves around the same goal and then having a group to go after that with. I mean, that's what that's all about, right?
Yeah. absolutely.
And it sounds like with your guys' start of the year meeting, I mean, that's essentially what's happening, where you guys are looking at the year ahead and just painting a picture of what it might look like. And hopefully it's something that people are getting excited about. And then, well, you leave the room with a bunch of people that are excited about the same thing. It's a good way to start the year.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end on there, boys. Anybody else have anything that they want to add to this?
No, I like that. This is I mean, I guess social media is not leaving us, right? Is it here to stay? I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
So
I don't know.
Evan,
I think it is.
You just started.
I joined the Instagram, so I'm already like 75% of the way there, right?
Yeah.
You're
What
on-
else do I have to
are you-
join
Are you
now?
on the internet?
I got the internet. I got dial up recently. Yeah.
Good.
Dennis, anything else you want to add to that? Did we miss anything about what your plans are, what you're trying to accomplish with Bereda, or anything that we wanted to talk about today?
No, I don't think so, guys. I think that was pretty good. I mean, thanks so much for letting me on the podcast today. That was a lot of fun. And I'll just say it one more time. We have a beta coming up. So if you want to get involved, just go to beredatraining.com. That's BEREDA training.com. And when you sign up, you're going to get an email from me. If you heard about this on the podcast, I'd love it if you guys replied and let me know. That'd be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
So we'll call that your one last thing, and we're going to run around the table real quick and do our one last thing. If there's anything else that you want to add, we'll let you do one last.
Dennis gets two one last things if he wants.
Yeah.
He gets two.
I'll give
two
him
last
I'll give him the
things.
second one. I always take.
I did know that the one last thing was coming. I think I jumped the gun. So
No, I like it. That was perfect.
Good.
No,
He's
that's
smart
it,
'cause now he
guys.
gets
Thanks so much
two.
for having me. That was a lot of fun.
Hey, Matt, one last thing, man.
Let's see. I've got a video that I'm excited about. Actually, I'm really excited about it. There is a component set that's new on the market. It's called SRAM Red Axis, and it is you can do like a 2x12 system or a 1x12 system. And let's see. So Jake, the Dialed Cycling Lab, has ordered this component set for Evan's bike. And
A lot of pressure over
I know,
here.
right? So I was super excited to check it out, and I snuck it out from underneath Jake's fingertips and basically recorded an unboxing of it. And I'm gonna work on that today and try to get that video released tomorrow. So when you guys listen to this podcast, hopefully you can check out the unboxing of that particular component set. And this is it's the 1x12, and they have an arrow group set. So if you're a time trialist or a triathlon junkie, this is the component set that you want. In my opinion, this is the best set that you
I got zero excuses now.
Did you wipe all the drool off it before you brought it back?
There's so much drool on this component set.
So I'm gonna have to go get this rubbing alcohol spray
Yeah.
and clean it up really good.
The boxing. I mean, we were just talking about this. Me, Jake, and Matt were just mentioned the boxing that they put into this was.
Right.
I mean,
It's kind of like
it's like an art. It's like you're unfolding artwork.
like a Rolex watch or something that's gonna come out of it.
It actually justifies doing an unboxing video, because the boxing is actually really nice. And a lot of people will buy a bike and the components come on the bike, right? You never see the packaging or anything like that, right? You get the bike.
I'm excited to see that. And Matt, can you remind us where we can see that video when you post it up?
It'll be on the youtube.com/mlegrand. There's a whole bunch of videos up there. I think I'm at 70 videos or something
That's
crazy.
big. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
What's your followers at yet? Are you at the 1 million mark yet? Ballpark.
Just shy.
I'm not to 400. I'm through. I don't know,
growing,
300.
though.
I don't know. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And the people that follow are super nice. They always post great comments and super nice stuff.
I do check those, and they come from all over the place too. That's really cool that you're getting people from all over the states and down in Australia, if I'm not mistaken,
Australia.
the UK.
A lot of people from the UK.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I'm huge in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was about to beat Lance to that.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, man.
Good stuff. Evan, one last thing.
So I'm not sure if I want to spoiler everybody here. Paris-Roubaix
Oh, yeah.
was. Should I spoiler it?
Yeah, we should.
I feel like most people have probably.
You should
Dennis,
know
have you
by
seen the
now.
results before I?
Yeah, go ahead. You're not
Okay,
gonna,
good.
You're not gonna
Okay, good.
break my heart.
I mean, basically, Quick Step is amazing, and they seem to do really well as soon as the roads turn to cobble. So, Gilbert won, which is awesome.
Yep.
It's good to see kind of the old guys still, can kill it at these tougher races.
He's won all of the classics except for one. Did you guys see that?
Yeah,
Oh,
except
what's the
for-
stat? What's the one he hasn't
It's
won?
Milan
Flanders?
San Remo.
Milan San Remo.
Milan San Remo.
Yeah.
Which is
Milan San Remo's
is
the
that next week?
No, it was 2
No,
weeks ago.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, just an absolute, and I mean, people who have seen, he's a guy who rode through a broken kneecap last year. So, I mean, he's kind of tough. And I think you basically have to be the toughest human being alive to win Paris-Roubaix. So, I don't think there's ever been not an incredibly, like, that's the most brutally honest race all year. Like, nobody just kind of wins Paris-Roubaix. Like, nobody's just like, oh yeah, I've really never heard of this guy before. He has no results. I would back this up.
It was crazy. You just see like Peter Sagan, just like he was with the front pack.
Yeah.
And it was like
He got dropped.
He just got broken.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
I've only seen like the like 10-minute highlight thing. So when I'm on a trainer tonight, I'm gonna watch like the last
watch it.
like 100K or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's worth it. That race is a blast to watch each year.
Nice. Lance, one last thing.
You know what else was this morning was the Boston Marathon.
Yes, it
Yep.
was.
Went off today, which ended in a sprint finish
on the guys'
Wait,
side.
seriously?
for the men.
I have not seen
Sprint
this yet.
finish. So
Who won?
Pretty crazy. It was
I don't know.
A Kenyan?
not the Kenyan beat DeCisa, the defending champion,
yes.
at the line.
The guy who was in the 2-hour
Yes.
project too. Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty.
Wow.
That's a shame for
Crazy.
DeCisa. I feel like the 2-hour project was so tough for DeCisa. I really wish that he would have won Boston because I know he had a tough year.
They're running down Boylston Street. There's 3 of them with 300 meters to go, and they are sprinting for the line. And DeCisa kind of like was trying to
Took a swing
he was trying to grab at him to get ahead of him. He was like going blank in his face. They were working so hard. But he ended up getting out sprinted to the line. It was a pretty crazy finish. Yeah.
Think
How
about
ugly was the sprint there?
Oh yeah, it's not pretty.
It was just like flailing
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
it's
Yard sale.
flailing.
They're marathoners. They're not sprinters.
no.
So that was fun to watch.
Awesome.
That's your one last thing?
I guess that's my one last thing.
Awesome. I have a question for you, Lance. This coming week, you have to choose. Did you choose between...
Oh, I remember this.
He's got to choose
Yes.
between doing the Oregon State Championship
Fondo
XC
race.
mountain bike race or the Yamhill brand new gravel Fondo race on the calendar, which you...
Or by a helicopter.
Go between the two. One starts at 9 a.m. The other one starts at like 10:40, so it doesn't quite work. I looked.
We looked into it.
Don't worry. I looked.
Oh, there's Lance.
So here's what I've done. I've actually signed up for both of them
What? You're going to make this...
because I can't decide what to do.
So funny.
So
Like,
I signed
the
up for
chopper
both.
thing. I was just joking about the
I know,
chopper thing.
but it's an option, Matt.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, I'm really leaning towards the mountain bike state championships just because it's I want to test myself against those guys, and there's gonna be 3 or 4 teammates in my group, and that
Yeah.
would be great to go out there and just throw down with those guys.
I would love nothing more than to see you and Surratt
Yeah.
at the podium there.
Me and Surratt and Hamness.
Terry Hamness too, yeah.
I want a fun race report next week, so I vote state championship because it's going to be a fun
Either
race
way,
report.
they'd be fun for
It's
sure.
it's only going to be like it's only a 12-mile race, and it's like 1 3-mile lap that you do 4 times or something.
How
so
far are the 2 venues away from each other? Just out
I
of
was
curiosity.
about to.
they're
It's 2 hours, right?
they're like one's near Salem and the other is out in Yamhill, so they're
That's not too far from each other.
like an hour and a half away from each other.
20 minutes by helicopter.
So if
Maybe
you
20
go
minutes.
12,
Make it a late start on the Yamhill.
so if you average 24 miles an hour on your mountain bike in that race,
Could I make
you can
it to the
jump in the car.
make it up there?
You can
You
be
will
late.
make it
You
at
can
the
be late
start.
to Yamhill, and you can still win.
No, there are some solid people racing Yamhill. There's a bunch of people that are going to be there. So I'm mountain bike.
Good times.
You just
Cool.
made his decision.
All right, my one last thing. I will be at Yamhill. I'll ride for you there.
Oh yes, please ride for me, Jake.
I have to go. I have a bike that was delivered today. I've got to go pick it up over there at the studio and got to go build it up and try and find some time this week to get out there and shake it down and get the position fit and make sure that I'm able to ride said
good.
bike. So I'm going to go out there and do the Yamhill. I don't know if I will race it or if I'll do it just kind of, I don't know, fun style.
Whatever, you'll race it.
No.
You can't start something like that and not like try to stick with the front group. Whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got some kids going out there. We've got some other people, so I might just go out there and just enjoy the ride and ride with people. I don't have aspirations right now, so everything's going to change when we get there. I know. So I'm kind of excited about that. And then I'm going to give Dennis one more chance to throw one last thing at us. You got anything else for us? You got second one last thing?
I think I'm all good, guys. It's just a pleasure to be on today. Really fun to talk bikes instead of startups for an hour and a half.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, and again, that's Dennis Cottreau from
Bereda Training.
Bereda Training.
Peer-to-peer coaching. Yeah.
I'm just having one of those days. You know what, guys? I got to stop doing this. This intermittent fasting thing is fantastic.
That's what it is.
I'm like, I should have eaten like about an hour and a half ago, and I didn't. And I just, it's like that Snickers moment. I've talked about this before. I think I'm just gonna like stop eating earlier, like the day before the podcast, so I can have half a brain about me, man.
Just have like a dinner at 9 p.m. on Sundays.
No, I'm gonna eat at like 5. That way I can eat.
Oh,
at like
so
10
you can
o'clock.
have the breakfast. There you
exactly.
go.
So
he's down to hour. God, I'm not even that close to that specific.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's Bereda Training, and that's BEREDA training.com. Go check them out. Go sign up to get on that beta list so that you guys can check out this cool little platform that they're going to be building. I am super excited to see this. I really think that there's going to be some practical application for our team.
It'd be good.
I think it's going to be fun. So I'll be signing up later today, Dennis. It should be fun.
Perfect. Can't wait to work with you to make it awesome.
Hey, do you guys have a Facebook group as well?
We have a Facebook page. Haven't made a Facebook group yet, but maybe it's going to be a need to communicate with the beta users.
Yeah, that might be good. But you guys, is it just Bereda Training? Just go search that on Facebook, and you can find the page there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. We appreciate you coming on. For us, if you guys want to check us out at Dial Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, go check us out there, and you can like the page. You can subscribe to our Instagram and see the very few things we put up. We promise we won't bother you too much with that stuff. And then go check us out on iTunes or whatever platform you use to listen to your podcast, and give us a review. I don't know if we got any reviews in the last week. I don't think I saw that any of you guys actually went out there and did that. So get on it, man. We need those, and women.
Yes.
And thanks for listening. We will see you next week. Bye for now.
To get from A to B, I put my legs to work. I get my fuel for free. I got my license at birth.
The wind's all up in my face like, nice, mate. Cause my machine's more clean for the climate.
Drivers, pilots, and boaters want what we've got. Who needs a motor when I've got my quad?
I'm in the habit, man, of having the advantage. Spread your traffic jam. I'ma see you later sandwich as I whoosh by on my push bike. My tush high and my thighs bumping away. Seems like a sweet deal. Less than 3 wheels. Yet I still steal the show from your Camry. On my bicycle, life was icicle. But now